So, good morning, everyone. I am Christian John Leron, and I will be talking about ethical dilemmas. So, we will be discussing or analyzing an ethical dilemma today, specifically the case 3 on the self instructional manual. So, first, what are ethical dilemmas? Ethical dilemmas, a decision making problem between two possible moral imperatives, neither of which is clearly acceptable or preferable. So, in simple words, it is a situation where we're faced with choices with no right answer. There will always be consequences, whether we choose the first option, second option, or third, or as many options as it can have. So, this will be the problem that we will be dealing today. An engineer is volunteering as a mentor for a high school team competing in a national contest to build a robot that straightens boxes. The plan was to help the students on weekends for at most 8 to 10 hours. As the national competition nears, the robot's motor overheats and the engine burns out. He wants to help the dispirited students and believes his mentoring commitment requires he do more. But doing so would involve additional evening work that could potentially harm his work, if not his family. So previously, there were already two cases discussed, and we will still follow the same steps that they employed as in accordance with the self-instructional manual that was provided. So the first step is moral clarity. Moral clarity requires us to identify the relevant moral values that would affect our decision. There are many values we can use in every dilemma we encounter. Some of these values are values we know about, like patience, integrity, honesty, and etc. While other values are instinctive to us, and we do not really know that we are already applying these values in making decisions in our daily lives. The purpose of this step, moral clarity, is to help us identify the governing values that will greatly impact the situation, be it instinctive or rationalistic. So we cannot name all of the values that is in line with a certain dilemma. Therefore, there will be values na instinctive to us, and there will be values that will be recognized. The values shown are the common values taught to us when we were still kids. We must also consider the fundamental canons as engineers in dealing with situations involving work, as this can greatly affect the dilemma we are in. So, on that problem, the main values that I have identified is always tell the truth, take responsibility for your actions, and be dependable. So, the next step would be conceptual clarity. Conceptual clarity requires us to be clear with our key concepts. So, when facing dilemmas, we feel pressured because we confine ourselves on two main decisions that would affect the situation, which is wrong. It is wrong in a way that in every situation, there will never be two choices, but there are more. In deciding dilemmas, we must break down these main decisions into smaller decisions with their own assumptions and parameters in order for us to come up with the best solution. So in here, we have two main concepts. The choose to commit more hours in helping the high school team. It will help increase the spirit of the team in finishing the robot. You will earn their respect. However, there is a risk of being conflicted with your work or your family. And the second main concept is choose to volunteer the same number of hours to not risk any conflict with work or family. So your work will not be affected, but the team might not finish the robot in time. Also, your life will continue as it is because your help or the volunteering that you have given to the team is already helpful enough for them. So these are the main concepts, but this will not be our choices. It is because these two concepts can still be broken down into more, which will be discussed later. So it is not always about choosing the first concept or the second concept. We must break it down because it is not always about the biggest, most life changing decision we do in life, but sometimes it is about the small decisions we take that would lead to the best outcome. So we will be now on the third step. Third step is informed about the facts. Informed about the facts requires us to obtain relevant information. As an engineer, we must honor every fact that would affect our decision in dealing with dilemmas. Once we identify what are the things that we must consider, we can now formulate other possible decisions we can do that would have the least negative effect on all the lives involved in the dilemma. So fact finding, or we will be connecting the dots to connect the factual information and the general information we have so that we can come up with branching solutions from our two main concepts. So once we gather facts that two main concepts discussed before, we'll now have branching solutions, which is possibly better or worse than the main concept. Also, the facts must be rooted on our values. So, on the value, always tell the truth. Inform the team regarding our situation as an engineer and how it will affect our work. This is a fact because whatever we choose, our work will be affected. Nothing can change that. On the second value, take responsibility for your actions. As an engineer who volunteered to help them, you must share your knowledge to assist them in their endeavors. Since you volunteered, which is a fact, it can be a key concept in order for us to determine new options. So if I choose to lend more hours, it is a fact that if I choose to lend more hours, be responsible in dealing with the issues that might arise at work. That is also another fact because if you help the students more hours, your work will be affected. Also, if I choose to prioritize work or family, it is another fact that the team will be the team would have less will have less knowledge because you were guiding them before. And lastly, be dependable. Always show that you are capable of doing the task, be it at work or outside activities. So after gathering the facts, the next step will be informed about the options. So it requires us to consider all realistic options. So it seems like whatever we do, there will always be side effects, diba, from the two main concepts. So let's try to break it down if there will still be side effects. So if I choose the high school team, I come up with three possible options wherein I can choose among. So the first option I have is lend more hours to the team to help them finish. If I do this, I will be risking conflict with work or family. Next, the second option is lend the same number of hours but have better work distribution. This is this option also has a side effect. You and the team will be overworked for the duration, but you will be able to finish more work at a given span of time. And the third option is lend the same number of hours and do no changes since you already volunteered on the first place and you won't risk your work for it. So if you choose the third option, the team may not be able to finish the robot on time. So that is the first set of options. So what if we choose work or family? So lend the same number of hours to the team in order to have little to no issues regarding work or family. So if we choose to do this, the team may not be able to finish the robot. The second option is lend more hours to the team and hope that there would be no issues that will arise regarding work or family at that time. This is an unsure decision relying on luck, and this could be proven devastating because there are uncertainties that might arise. That there is an uncertainty that problems will arise during this time. And the third option is lend the same number of hours but have better work distribution. So you and the team will be overworked for the duration, but you won't be sacrificing hours for your work and your family. So these are the possible options that we have. So it seems like whatever we do, there are side effects. So we must analyze these options and come up with the best possible solution. So last step would be well reasoned. It requires us to make a reasonable decision. So since I'm the one who is deciding for this problem, I chose the decision lend the same number of hours but have a better work distribution. On the outcomes listed, this is the decision that is common to both parties and has the least side effects on the engineer and on the students. So since overwork is the only repercussion of this option, it can be gained back just sleeping and then just sleeping later after the work. So as an engineer, it is common for us to keep records of the plans, blueprints of our work. So it is safe to assume that the engineer possibly some of the members of the team has a record of the blueprint of the robot so that it will be easier to recreate if needed. So since the problem was the motor got destroyed, so we are safe to assume that the engineer or the team might have a blueprint. If not, they can still do it because of the decision that lending the same number of hours but better work distribution. So they will be more productive. So the possible options listed are just few of the myriad of possible options we can have depending on the assumptions we have come up with. So dealing with dilemmas like this is different on dealing with dilemmas in real life. Written dilemmas are problems that gives us the freedom to make realistic assumptions. For example, I can safely assume that the engineer has a vacant leave he didn't use, and he is free to use it anytime. But for us to come up with the best solution, we must neglect other assumptions and just think about the scenario that is likely to happen and avoid unnecessary assumptions that would greatly affect our decision. So before we end, so why do we face these kinds of dilemmas? The main reason for that is ethical dilemmas are determined by our morals and nothing else. So, as a normal person, we believe in something. We we put our life into something because we trust on it. But that makes it that is the cause of dilemmas, our beliefs, our values, our morality. So, here are a few of examples where ethical dilemma not is not common or it didn't arise. So, do you want to cure an illness, but the only way to do is to kill people and experiment on them to find cure? For us, this is a dilemma because it's either we kill the people to find a cure and heal others, or let the people live, let the people live and do not find the cure at all. This is a dilemma for us. However, it is not a dilemma for Dr. Joseph Mengele. Mengele. So the second is having a hard time sending a suicide. That's letter A, not us. So having a hard time sending children as it's correct pala. Having a hard time sending children as suicide bombers to defend your belief. It is not a dilemma for Daesh Mullah or the leader of the ISIS. So, overpopulation, war, and famine in Africa, not a dilemma if you're a Catholic, if you're the Catholic Church against contraception. So, overpopulation in Africa is caused by un, unjust or maybe premarital contact. And since the church is against contraception, there's no need for them to stress on this because this will never be a dilemma for them. And lastly, sacrificing the only known habitable planet on the galaxy for the joy of sex, money, and progress, not a dilemma at all. It is because it is what we do, or most of the people do right now. We know that this is the only habitable planet in our galaxy, and still people enjoy destroying our forest, uh, throwing away dirt to the ocean, and anything that is disruptive for the planet, just for the cause of joy and other excitement. So that would be all, and thank you. Ciao.